Born enemies united against the greater threat. Godzilla and Kong are now set up for their sequels, especially Kong, who is finally receiving the iconic title King Kong in his new home, for which we know so little, and we'll probably have a lot to talk about once we get to see how things work down there in the Hollow Earth, which, from a theory, become a reality in the MonsterVerse at least. One thing is for sure, the MonsterVerse we have been part of is finally a fully fledged one, and the latest movie taking part in what universe is Godzilla vs. Kong, which eventually leaves the two of the toughest monsters in new places in their stories, with the ability to let the two coexist in the MonsterVerse and any future movies placed in the same setting. The movie was also the second face-off between the two iconic monsters, with their first bout being in the 1962's King Kong vs. Godzilla. The big plan was that this movie would be the one to end it all. That is what Warner Bros. And Legendary Entertainment have been promising. The crowning installment of the MonsterVerse never came to be by the looks of it, because even after the events of that movie, the two titans are still alive. However, the movie was well made, as it takes careful steps to ensure that not only the two titans survive, but they also have future stories set up by leaving their ending somewhat open, with only a rough idea as to what might happen next. Thus, by summing up what the three movies have showcased, including the likes of 2014's Godzilla, 2017's Kong Skull Island, and the previously mentioned 2019's Godzilla vs. Kong, which are all movies that take part in the MonsterVerse, we are here to deliberately share with you what is in store moving forward, particularly in the Kong sequel, Kong 2: Kong of Hollow Earth, a movie that we think will be even bigger than its prequel, and a movie that will for sure blow your mind. Not because of all the things it will need to answer and dive deep into, but also because of all the new things that might quite possibly happen, and the promising outlook of Godzilla vs. Kong that made both of the monsters kings in their own world might just have the biggest twist we never expected, but rather the one we deserved after the 7 years worth of storytelling. One of the longest running theories that have finally come to fruition was the Hollow Earth theory, firstly given to the world by a senior official from Monarch, William Rhonda, with him and Dr. Houston Brooks later credited for it in Kong Skull Island. Put forth at the end of the 17th century by the English scientist Edmund Halley, the concept, despite being disproved rather quickly, gained a foothold in science fiction and fantasy, with many stories, including the likes of Jules Verne's Journey to the Center of the Earth, playing in favor of the said theory, and eventually expanding the imagination of many about the Hollow Earth and what it looks like if it even exists. And the MonsterVerse was not shy to test this theory and make its own version of it. Just like the theory suggested, the Hollow Earth of the MonsterVerse we are talking about is an open world deep within the Earth, connected by a series of tunnels, or caverns, that allow travel for the titans between the two worlds. It is also believed that this is the place where the titans originate from, and that is why so many monsters are alive down there that are not on the surface. Prime examples are the Nosuke and the Warbat species, and judging by the throne room and Kong's axe, it seems Kong's ancestors were the rulers of the place. The Kong sequel will surely dive deeper into this theory, and knowing it is his movie, we will probably get to see more about his ancestry and how his people lived their lives as the leaders of the place. Hinted many times before the battle, it has been said that Kong and Godzilla were born enemies. Their ancestors fought an ancient war thousands of years ago before the events of MonsterVerse. Kong's ancestors have won the war, judging by the fact of the throne room and the axe made up of one of Godzilla's dorsal spikes, and the fact that there was a Godzilla-like shape in the throne room as well. We are bound to get a flashback or two from the war and how things were run back then. Maybe even a detail as to why Godzilla's home was the underwater city and how it all came to be, the banishment of the species, or an agreement settled after the ancient war. Maybe the Godzilla species retreated to the underwater depths on their own, considering they feed on the radiation of the planet, and that is the place where the Earth's radiation subsided on the surface, maybe replenishing their energy for another bout. Who knows? This will probably be one of the questions the next movie will have to answer. Godzilla's radiation as a power source could be seen in the battle against Kong, especially because of just how powerful the atomic breath is, which gets absorbed by the axe because it is made out of Godzilla's dorsal spine, which then creates an explosion of energy on impact, which is also why Godzilla gets disoriented. This is also how Kong and Godzilla defeat Mechagodzilla as well, with their combined power. And while spears have been used by Kong in the past, it is the axe this time around that separates him from all the other monsters. So it would be interesting to see if he has other weapons in the arsenal. Maybe them having an even bigger connection to the other monsters which reside in the Hollow Earth, presumably given as tokens for their leadership by the others. There is a lot of talk about the throne room where Kong eventually gets to sit, a place where some of his ancestors definitely have sat before. However, seeing it as it is, who exactly built the throne room? Even at his first arrival in Hollow Earth, it seems like Kong knows where he is going, which is proven to be true when he enters the throne room, a massive palace carved into one of Hollow Earth's mountains. The architecture of the room is very precise, and as we said before, it even includes a throne for the king of monsters to rest upon. The Kong sequel will likely explain which species were the smarter ones, smarter than the Kong species that were not only smarter, but also bigger, which might not be the case at all when all the Godzilla and Kong related symbols are taken into consideration inside the place. One unlikely thing was that the prehistoric humans found a way into Hollow Earth, despite the gravitational inversion between the two ecosystems, and that they were the ones to have it done all as worthy worshippers of the Titans as gods. No matter what the case was, there is a lot of explanation to be done about the things we are able to see in the Hollow Earth, a place where many things are still unknown to many of us. For which things we need a further explanation, and the one we think we will be getting in the upcoming Kong sequel. It is safe to say that the end of Godzilla vs. Kong made Kong the king of monsters. After both of them being sent home, Godzilla into the ocean, presumably resuming his patrol around the world, and Kong to Hollow Earth, and regarding it as his home, is probably the rightful place for him, sitting on the throne to be more precise, thus making him king of monsters. He defeated the species that initially retaliated against him, and the end of the movie made it fair to say that he has finally been given the iconic name of King Kong, with Godzilla the apex predator, the alpha titan of the surface world. So it will be an interesting thing to see how King Kong copes with everything down in the Hollow Earth, now that we are going to get a lot more about it, especially since it is the place where Monarch had set up its latest research station, from which we will get a closer look at things, and King Kong included, in the upcoming Kong King of Hollow Earth. On a related note, tell us down in the comments below, what are your thoughts on the MonsterVerse and the ending of Godzilla vs. Kong? Did they do a good job in treating the two titans equally? And where do you see Kong's journey take him next? What is the next adventure he will embark on moving forward? But also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you would like to see more videos like this in the future. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.